In today's video, we will take a look at Nerdio Manager for WVD's integration with Azure NetApp Files. Azure NetApp Files is a great storage option for FSLogix profile containers. So let's go ahead and open up the Nerdio Manager for WVD and go to the Settings tab on the left. Here we'll see the Azure NetApp Files setup section, and we're going to click Add. This is going to ask us to select an existing resource group and point at a particular network. So let's go ahead and find the resource group, find a VNet, and you must pre-configure a subnet in order to connect the Azure NetApp Files account to that subnet. A couple of requirements that are worth mentioning here. Azure NetApp Files is not available in every single region just yet, so please make sure that the region where your network is, your VNet is created, is capable of provisioning Azure NetApp Files. So that's number one. And number two, when creating an Azure NetApp Files account through the Nerdio Manager, make sure that the subnet that you're selecting is empty and the subnet has connectivity to your Active Directory, because as part of the provisioning process, the Azure NetApp volume is going to join your Active Directory in order to enable AD integration. So again, those two things are: make sure that Azure NetApp Files is in your region, the subnet you're selecting is completely empty, and also be sure that your subscription has been whitelisted with the NetApp Azure Files or the Azure NetApp Files service, so that your subscription is allowed to provision the service. So now we've selected resource group, the network, and the subnet, and it will automatically detect the DNS server that is currently specified on the network. This DNS server is needed in order to join the domain. So it already has detected the DNS server, but if there is another one that's better, you can override it and specify it here. Next, we're going to configure the resource group that's going to be containing the actual Azure NetApp Files account. So let's go ahead and find a resource group where to place it. We can specify the SMB server name prefix. This is going to be sort of the computer name that will join the Active Directory. We can specify a volume name. So let's call it FSLogix Profiles. We can specify the initial capacity, and the capacity minimum is 4 terabytes with the service, with the ANF Azure NetApp File service. 4 terabytes is the minimum. And then we have an option of 3 performance tiers: standard, premium, and ultra. We're going to go ahead with standard for now, but you should definitely review the differences between the tiers. There is a cost difference, and also, most importantly, a performance and throughput and IOPS difference for each of the tiers. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And this is going to trigger a creation of a Azure NetApp Files account, which is going to now be created inside of those resource groups that I selected. You can click on Details and see the process unfolding. So in just a few minutes, we will have an Azure NetApp Files account, capacity pool, and volume ready to go. Looks like the provisioning process has completed successfully. As you can see, it took only about 5 minutes to deploy Azure NetApp Files and make it available for us. If we take a look at the details of the task, we can see what was done. We had an account that was created, a capacity pool that was built, and a volume that was created and joined to the domain. And now we have a new deployment here. We have an Azure NetApp Files account. We have a default pool, capacity pool of 4 terabytes. We have a volume that has the following UNC share. So all we need to do now is take this particular share path and configure it as the FSLogix storage location right here. So by clicking OK, we are now going to be able to configure all the profiles that are pointed to this location, and this is where they're going to be stored when the session hosts are built. So you can see with just a few clicks, we're able to deploy Azure NetApp Files. In future videos, I'm also going to show you the auto-growing capability. that is going to be available in the Nerdio Manager for WVD, which is going to allow you to configure Azure NetApp files at its minimum size and allow the system to automatically detect as it's running out of space and extend the capacity and grow the pool and the volume automatically. See you next time.